Let's go. Let's go. It's election day. We got this. Now, I got to admit, yesterday I was coming in hot and I was like, don't rain on my parade. We will win. Because I'd heard someone say we will win at the rally I was at in East Lansing on Sunday, right? So I came in here hot in the morning saying we will win. And, then I kind of have moved into what I think you have heard now is this new expression, which is I am, friends, nauseously optimistic. Yes, I feel nervous. I feel shaky. I don't know what to do with my nervous energy. So, what am I doing? Let me just show you. I'm wearing my Kamala shirt. I am going to go to the supermarket today and buy some things from my mom. We need some new supplies, and I am going to represent the future. What else am I going to do? Well, of course, I'll be joining Mary Trump and the Nerd Avengers today at noon for the final nerd show before, the polls close. And then, of course, tonight, right here on Mary Trump Media, we will be with you. I think the time is starting at 6:30 until the end, all night. Now, not all of us, we're going to take shifts, but we're going to have some of the nerds, some of Mary's special guest friends. We're going to have Adam Parkamenko giving us all the strategy details on the ground. And we're actually going to have people in the swing states, friends there, experts there who are going to pop in. So we're ready. Now, I got to start with some really important stuff at the top, which is this. This is from last night. It's a message I need to send to you. This was the closing argument in Philadelphia for the Kamala Harris campaign. And you know what? The closing argument comes from us. It's the enthusiasm. Let's play it, guys.
Win. And we will win. We will win. And we will win because when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for.
That's it. Now, I'm going to go into more depth, of course, sharing Kamala's speech, but we will win. We will win. Now, young people tend to vote today. I don't know how many times I nudged my daughter Emily, who can vote. And Emily, you are probably, did you join us in the chat? She may not have because she was at the rally in Philadelphia. She texted me last night with an adorable photo of her with her roommate Sarah at the rally. And they were in, I don't know when they got in line, but I know that by around 5:30, they were like really close to some barrier near where the press was. And Emily, hey, Deb, Kayleen, our Emily was there. Anyhow, so that's my friend Deb, who's known Emily since she was a child. Anyhow, so Emily was there toward the front and she just sent me one photo. She was saving her battery, but then she texted me saying, I just got interviewed by the Los Angeles Times. I have not had a chance this morning to see if that story is out, but that rally was electric. And that is part of the closing message. Now, I need to say this thing to you guys, and this is really important to me about getting out the vote. I'm going to put this slide up here, and I want you to maybe jot down some of these phone numbers. Okay, so I'm going to remove myself a little bit because this is super important. Here's the most important number you need to have at your fingertips, right? You can, you can do a quick screenshot on your phone. If you're watching on your phone, if you're watching on your television, your computer, you can, take your phone and take a shot, or just, old fashioned paper and pencil. If you have one, grab it now and write down this phone number, 1-866 our vote. That's 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Again, 1-866-OUR-VOTE. God, I sound like an infomercial, but this is important. This is the voter intimidation line, not where you will be intimidated as a voter. This is the ACLU's hotline. Again, 1-866 our vote, OURVOTE. Again, 1-866 our vote. What is this about? Know your rights. I'm going to read this to you. This is so important. Voter intimidation is illegal and unlikely, but this is what it looks like and what you can report. Now, a lot of you all have already voted, right? But you may have friends, or you may be at the polls yourself, outside the appropriate distance, holding signs. And if anyone feels or sees intimidation, you need to call this number. So if someone gets aggressive questioning about their voting qualifications, or if someone comes up to you and pretends they are an election official, any false information about voting requirements. If someone says, oh, you need your passport, or if it's a state that doesn't require an ID, saying you need your ID, or you need proof that you voted before, what have you, it's not true. Also, harassment, especially targeting non-English speakers and voters of color. You call that number. Now, I need to tell you this other thing. This is super important also. Let me blow this up as big as I can. So that doesn't really work. Okay. We have a number of states that offer same-day voter registration. Same-day voter registration. And what does that mean? We are talking about going in, and every place is different. Usually in Michigan, how it works is we have same-day voter registration. If you're not registered yet in Michigan, you can register today and vote. Again, every state is different. My understanding is in Michigan, you go to your local county clerk's office to do this. So what you could do, if you don't know, is go to, and this is where Susan Thompson, you have this link of, is it vote.org? There's a certain phone number. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's what you do. I'm sorry. Go to rockthevote.org. These are the people from MTV back in the day. Go to rockthevote.org if you don't know, if you want to find out what to do or how to vote in your states. And let me tell you, Alaska, California, Colorado, Connecticut, DC, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Iowa, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Utah, Montana. Why is Montana on here twice? Okay, Virginia, Washington, Wisconsin, Wyoming. Okay, you can do this. There are young people or even people who have moved. You moved into one of these states. You may live, so let's look at this number. This is a huge number. This is like 24, almost half of the states in this country have same-day registration and voting. And ask yourself why your state doesn't. I see my old state, Massachusetts, doesn't. That's bullshit, frankly. The laws should change. This is really important. This should be available, and it is available in many states. So again, if someone says, well, I didn't register, you need to go to rockthevote.org and find out, okay? I got some more information for you. This is election day polling hours. And again, you could do a screenshot here, my friends, or just play this again. But these, you can go to, for this information, it's votesaveamerica.com. votesaveamerica.com. This is going to have election day polling hours. Today, I will have this up in case you're wondering if you can still vote. States vary. Obviously, you have your time zone, and I'm staring at this to myself, the different time zones, but we have some states where the polls close anywhere between, I'm seeing some close at as early as 7 p.m., others at 7:30, some at, actually, Kentucky closes at 6 p.m. Well, look at that. So we have some states that close at 6, some at 7, some at 7:30, some at 8, some at 9. My answer to that is don't wait, go. And the other thing, this is one of the most important things here about knowing your rights, stay in line. This is the ACLU's number again, 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Again, 1-866-OUR-VOTE. These are the key things you need to know. If the polls close while you are still in line, even outside, you don't have to be in the building. You are in line to vote. You still have the right to vote. Please stay in line. Every vote counts, and we will count every vote. And the other reason to stay in line is it's BS that they have not enough places to vote, and that it seems like the lines are longer in poorer communities and communities of color. There should be, everyone has the right to vote. There should be more polling places. But until then, if the polls close, please stay in line. Also, if you made a mistake on your ballot, you're nervous, you're standing up there and you're filling something in and you think you messed up, please request a new ballot. They can spoil it. I don't know if they mark it in some way, so it's not counted twice, but make your vote count. Also, if you are at a place, location that has machines and the machines are down, please request a paper ballot. Okay. And finally, that last thing, and now I'm going to exit here. My last thing to say to you, that last slide, which is too tiny to look at. Big warnings now. Russia is once again putting out fake information to try to interfere in our election. Thank you so much, Zoe, for the super thanks. There's going to be false information out there. If you are in line and someone, even someone you know, heard information, someone you trust, they may have been getting false information. They may say, oh, the poll is closed, or they may tell you, someone already won, or something's happening. Don't listen. Stay in line. Okay, I've done enough of my lecturing. So I want to show you I want to draw a contrast, because today I want to show you what happened last night. Because later today, we're going to all be talking about, when are the returns coming in? I think you saw that the earliest state was Kentucky at 6 p.m. So my friends, there ain't going to be any important information on the vote until then. So I think that we need to talk about some other things and lift our mood, because if you are like me, nauseously optimistic, or if you're worse, in a full-blown panic, let's do things that elevate our mood and give us hope and get out the vote. So again, write down that number, right? 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Again, 1-866-OUR-VOTE. That is the number if you know anyone facing voter intimidation. And in fact, you can pretty much call the ACLU hotline about any election question that you are concerned about. You can call them, okay? Thank you, Jaroslav. That is very nice for you, for that as well, for the super thanks. Okay, so I'm going to be drawing a contrast between the final arguments, so to speak, the final rallies, Harris's campaign, and Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Now, there was so much going on yesterday in Kamala world. I'm probably going to miss some of it, but I want to share with you the main event. This is in Philadelphia. Giant crowd, estimates of at least $50,000 on the steps of the museum. It was gorgeous. And we had, if you can believe it, Lady Gaga actually performed. We had will.i.am. It was incredible because there were many hours leading up, obviously, to Kamala Harris coming up on stage. But what was also incredible was Oprah. Yes, Oprah Winfrey went up on stage, and this is my favorite thing that she did. She spoke to some young people, first-time voters, and I'm going to play that for you right now. That was not my Oprah. That was not my Oprah. Okay. I thought I had Oprah. Let's see. Okay, sorry, guys. I do have Oprah, but before I get to that, let's do this. I'm going to play for you the welcome that the crowd gave Harris.
Philadelphia! Good evening, everyone. First of all, can we hear it for Oprah, please? And the first, second gentleman of the United States, my husband. Oh, it's good to be back. It's good to be back and to be with so many incredible leaders, including Bob Casey. Let's send him back to the United States Senate. I want to thank all the outstanding artists and performers who are here tonight and sharing the gift that they have with all of us. I thank you all so very much. And to everyone here, thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to be here, for us to all be here together, showing who America is, that we are all in this together. We are all in this together. So Philadelphia, you ready to do this? Are we ready to vote?
Okay. Did you hear that? Does that, I just need to check in with you because, I can't fully judge the size of a crowd. I have my ways of doing it with the Big House Michigan Stadium. But people said that was 50,000, right? People who were there and estimates. And I heard a lot of enthusiasm, but there's somebody, and he's an expert on everything. And he said only 100 people were there, guys. Do you think that was more than 100 people? And the same expert on everything thinks everyone was leaving, bored, and maybe bust in. But to me, I don't know, does this look more like 50,000 than 100? Let's take a look again.
Are we ready to win?
Okay, so let's draw a little contrast here. Let's see what was happening. I don't know, at Donald Trump's rally yesterday. He was in 2 locations. I think he was in Pittsburgh, and then he went on to Pennsylvania, and then he went on to Grand Rapids. Let's just take a look at his crowd. It was similar.
Very far left, and people wanted to start meeting. There was a hope, it was nothing was coming together, and then we got hit with something
That was when he was talking. You heard his voice. So he is freaked out. He's saying it was only like 100 people there. And on top of everything, he is really envious, not just of the crowd, because he lies about it, but of the people who lined up yesterday at the various rallies. Because I mentioned to you, I don't even know how many different places there were rallies, but I do know that yesterday, while Kamala Harris is having, she was in 2 different places, and then she ends up several places. She ends up her final rally is in Philadelphia last night, right? But we also had Tim Walz, her vice presidential running mate. He was in Detroit at Hart Plaza at this outside concert where John Bon Jovi was performing. And we also had, I think it was like Christina Aguilera, is that who it was, who also endorsed Kamala Harris? It's hard for me to honestly keep track of all the star quality, and this made him angry. And thank you again for the super sticker support. But policy matters. We know that. But so does enthusiasm. Nancy Pelosi, we've talked about it. It's the message. It's the mobilization. It's the money. We believe in Kamala Harris's message. We won't go back. We are pissed off that Donald Trump took away a right women had had for 50 years by stacking the Supreme Court with these basically people who lied under oath, who had the mission of overturning Roe v. Wade. We will not go back. And that's what Harris represents. Also, we do not want Donald Trump back in the White House when we have experts, his own military staff, saying they believe he's compromised and that Putin is paying him. This is what we've known. How can this guy be president? And he's losing his shit. Okay. And he is adjudicated rapist, fraudster. Need I go on? Okay, let's look at how stressed out Donald was. This is not in Michigan. This is his earlier rally. Again, I think this one was Pittsburgh.
just to bring it back into seriousness, we don't need a star because we have policy. We have great policy. We have great policy.
Let's just, I don't know, let's compare that enthusiasm.
We will win. And we will win. We will win.
Okay, let's just compare that. Let's compare the applause. You tell me.
We have great policy. We have great policy.
Okay. He's losing. And on top of it, he is getting angrier and angrier. If he ever had any inhibition It is gone. Now remember, this is the same guy who just a few days ago was basically miming a sex act on stage on a microphone, right? This is the same guy who repeatedly insults Detroit when he is in Detroit. So I feel like I need to show you this because he did it again. Not only did he insult Detroit, he thought he was in Detroit when he was in Grand Rapids after his Pittsburgh rally, and he only showed up like I think right around midnight, right? And he once again insulted Detroit, but this time it's even a bigger insult. And here's why. When he insulted Detroit this time, he clearly knew, and he had been spoken to about how great Detroit is doing, how we have lifted ourselves. I shouldn't say me, the people of Detroit. I live up in the burbs, but I teach in Detroit how we, what has happened, how much there has been improvement. And now I am trying to find, oh boy, here we go. You won't believe this.
We're going to bring the car business blazing back. You're not going to remember what was like. We're going to make Detroit greater than it ever was. I've been hearing about Detroit for a long time. They've been talking about that miracle in Detroit. Well, I mean, look, we got to be honest. It hasn't happened, but it's going to happen now. It's going to happen at levels that you never dreamt possible.
First of all, what a liar. Second of all, he wants to, you heard Mike Johnson, he wants to repeal the CHIPS and Science Act. That's going to hurt Detroit. They have no plan for Detroit. And that was not an enthusiastic crowd. And I got to tell you, it gets worse. This is what he had to say about Nancy Pelosi.
She's a crooked person. She's a bad person. Evil. She's an evil, sick, crazy bitch. Oh, no. It starts with a B, but I won't say it. I want to say it.
Okay, it starts with a B. He wants to say it. Can we just talk about him? This is in Pittsburgh. This was, it was unbelievable how much he was decompensating. First of all, the oranger and stranger his spray tan gets, the more deranged he sometimes appears to be. Secondly, and that's not science, it just seems to me, but maybe, he's always deranged and it's really hard to actually gauge. He just called Nancy Pelosi a bitch. And in that same speech, at one point, he was saying something about a woman that I don't know who he was talking about, and he said she was incredibly attractive or something to that effect. She was beautiful. And then he turned over to the side and pointed and said, Susan, meaning Susan Wiles, who is one of his campaign managers. Susan, can I say that? I'm allowed to say that? And it was with this sarcasm. Obviously, he's really, really angry. He is really, really angry, essentially, at his team. And he knows he's going to lose. And he is blaming everyone. And I cannot believe this, but Harris, as you know, stood up there and said, we will win. And you saw the embrace of that crowd. That is not manufactured. That is the joy, this possibility of once and for all saying goodbye to Donald Trump and Trumpism. It's not that perfect, but this is the idea, the hope, and ushering in a new era, a new change in our politics. And you felt that joy. You felt that energy. And Donald Trump, his final argument was kind of unbelievable. Here you go. I mean, we will win. Listen to this, you guys.
In other words, to make you feel a little guilty, we would only have you to blame. But we put ourselves in an unusual position. Wait,
did you hear that? Let me just make this abundantly clear to you. This is Donald Trump, and he is at a rally. This is last night, and he says, if I were to lose, or if we were to lose, he points the finger. And which finger does he point? He points his flippin' middle finger at his supporters. Let's listen.
In other words, to make you feel a little guilty, we would only have you to blame. But we put ourselves in an unusual position.
In other words, he's saying if he loses, it's his supporters who are to blame. Oh my God. I mean, this is the last night, they talk about this cliche that you want to finish strong. You've heard of that cliche. But Harris is finishing incredibly strong. A lot of things came together for her. I do think we have a lot we can say about people reaching their limits after the Madison Square Garden rally that was echoing the pro-Nazi rally of 1939. And I do think that Tony Hinchcliffe, who I call Big Tony, did the funniest thing of his lifetime, which is to basically help almost single-handedly sink Donald Trump's campaign. That gave more energy to Harris. That is a fact. Also, the Iowa polls coming out and letting us, the Iowa polls specifically from the credible reporter, the credible Trump had Megyn Kelly come up on stage yesterday. And what's kind of incredible about this is Megyn Kelly, again, I don't know if you remember, just the other day, she was wearing a garbage bag. But back in the day, Megyn Kelly, who was like a Fox News commentator, was a moderator of one of the first debates in 2015 for the Republican candidacy for the presidency, right? And Donald Trump was being a buffoon, but drawing a lot of attention. And she was trying to correct him or keep him from going over, exceeding his time limits. And he said that he referred to her, I think right there on stage, there's blood coming out of her ears, blood coming out of wherever. And again, I don't have that clip, so I don't remember it perfectly. But that is who Megyn Kelly is. And yet here she was on stage campaigning for Donald Trump. A couple things to observe before I play this clip. First of all, she's supposed to be there helping him. And yet, in her attempt to compliment him, she completely insults him. Also, she has the new hairdo, that long hair, the waves, that all of the women who Donald Trump recently surrounds himself with have. It's a little bit like Melania's style, but it is a particularly, particular now to Alina Habba. You see that with her hair too, and she is painfully thin. I'm worried about her mental health, but not enough not to say fuck you for doing this. Here we go.
Hi, everybody. Hey, it's great to see you. Can you believe this guy? Can you believe the energy and the stamina on this guy? At his age, I'm ready to go to sleep over there. He's got a...
I didn't even finish my coffee before I'm laughing. She's saying, look at the stamina of this guy. I'm going to play it for you again in a second. And then she's trying to draw a contrast, kind of saying, I think she's trying to say, well, it's late at night and who can be awake this late? But she says, I'm falling asleep over here. Let me tell you, friends, if your surrogate who's supposed to be promoting you at one of the last rallies of your campaign is falling asleep, you're not doing it right. Let's play that one again and look at his face.
Hi, everybody. Hey, it's great to see you. Can you believe this guy? Can you believe the energy and the stamina on this guy? At his age, I'm ready to go to sleep over there.
Now I'm going to play this back. I want you to look at the look on his face when he walks over. So he's walking over. I'm going to actually, hold on. I'm going to make this bigger because I want you to look how disgusted he looks that he even has her there. He's so ungrateful. So let's look at him. I don't have the volume on. I just want you to see this. Okay, so she's taking the stage. She's looking down. She's smiling. He walks over, straightens his jacket or does something like that. Look at his face. He's walking over behind the teleprompter. He's still looking down, not, he's walking, not looking at her. His tongue is kind of in his mouth like, oh God, tired. He looks like he knows he's going to lose. Low energy. I'm going to keep sliding it over. Now look at his face. Okay. Turns around to look at her. She's smiling. Look at his face. He's grimacing suspiciously. Is he smiling? No. He looks disgusted. Let's look again. Keep looking. Now look at him, his face. Still looking at her, not a smile. And then, look at that. Now he puts his chin up. His chin up kind of in this sort of defiant look, looking at her like, what is she going to say about me? And then he's got a fake grin on his face. Look at that. And now look at him. The grimace. Okay? Do you see this? He is feeling defeated. That is it. You can hear what she says, but look at his face. Look at his body language. He is worn out. He is defeated. He's not even smiling when she gets up there. First, she's paying him a compliment. She says, he's got all this energy. He's probably thinking, what the actual F? He does not. He is worn out. He knows he's going to lose, and he's ready to blame everyone. Now, let's look. Let's look at a little, let's draw a little contrast. Let's watch a little more of the Kamala Harris speech. Not much. It's a good one. It's energetic. It's like 18 minutes. Maybe Donald Trump could actually have shown some discipline. He would have been in a situation himself where he wouldn't always be worn out, but that he has no discipline. Let's play a little more of this, and I'm going to keep drawing the contrast. And I got some other news for you too. So here we go.
To be back in the city of brotherly love, where the foundation of our democracy was forged. And here at these famous steps, a tribute to those who start as the underdog and climb to victory. So America, it comes down to this. One more day, just one more day in the most consequential election of our lifetime, and the momentum is on our side. Our campaign has tapped into the ambitions and the aspirations and the dreams of the American people. We are optimistic and we are excited about what we can do together. And we know it is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next President of the United States of America.
I'm getting the chills. Are you guys ready? Are you ready for this? Now, let's be clear. We're getting news from the campaign, not about the final outcome, but, there's news about when they expect the returns to come from various states. Again, let's chill. The first poll doesn't close until 6 p.m. We have time. Again, focus on things you can do. If you're volunteering and calling, great. If you've been asked to knock doors to help people cure ballots, go ahead and do that. If you just need to write down that phone number from the ACLU, 1-866-OUR-VOTE, OURVOTE, in case someone needs it, do that. If you want to go stand out with your sign or your t-shirt in front of a polling place and wave at cars, do that. There's a lot you can do instead of staring at the television news all day. There's going to be time for that today, tomorrow, and maybe a few days in the future. Yes, I would like the press to see the returns and be able to call this election, but it might not happen for a few days, and we will be here with you. So you saw that enthusiasm coming from the Harris campaign, and we looked at Donald Trump's body language and his sad, sorry crowds. But there is also evidence of panic inside the Trump campaign, and there's no one There's no one who loves Schadenfreude more than me. You know, that is the German word for taking comfort or pleasure in your adversary's demise. Yes, it's a fabulous word, Schadenfreude.
I think as of a few weeks ago, people close to him were still pretty bullish on his prospects. I'm not sure that's the case anymore. I think that there is a real fear that the bottom has started to fall out here at the worst possible moment, and that they are closing about as weak a fashion as you possibly could. If sprinting through the tape is at one extreme, I think sort of crawling or limping through the tape is at the other, and that's how a lot of the Trump folks feel right now.
Okay, so you write
Crawling. He is literally crawling over the finish line. He was literally on his last day campaigning. You saw it, saying, well, if we lose, it's your fault. You know what? Spin the dial. You know those board games you played as a kid and you'd spin it and the arrow would land somewhere? Donald Trump's world, that is always filled out. Someone is always to blame but him. I don't care. I don't care who he blames, as long as he does not set his goon squad out to attack us. And that is why I want to bring this up for you. Larry Krasner, the district attorney of Philadelphia, got a couple things to talk about. First, let's just dispense with this. You know that he brought the civil lawsuit against Elon Musk, trying to get an injunction to stop his paying people $1 million to register to vote and such. And you know that there was supposed to be a hearing on that on October 31st, but instead Elon Musk's lawyers filed a notice of appeal in the federal district court. The federal court said, we don't have jurisdiction and sent it back down. Okay, so yesterday, this brings us to Monday. The state court judge in Philadelphia did not grant the preliminary injunction. Instead said Musk could continue. I mean, at this point, what difference does it make? There's only one more day. And preliminary injunction, and Donald Trump went on at his rally saying that Musk won. He didn't win the case. There just was not a preliminary injunction. The case can still continue. A preliminary injunction is where you try to change the status quo and make someone do something or stop something. And judges are reluctant to grant those if they don't think that there's a strong likelihood that there will be success on the merits for the plaintiff. And if they are also concerned, about the relative harms, like who would be harmed more? Like if he orders a preliminary injunction, who's going to be harmed more than if he doesn't order it? And one more day on balance, if I were the judge, I understand that. This campaign, this lotteries thing began well before. If maybe Krasner had acted on it sooner, that would have been different. Fine. I got something else to say about Krasner, though. This is, again, DA from Philadelphia in charge of enforcing criminal and civil laws. Let's hear what he has to say. He's talking about voter intimidation in Philly and any other shenanigans that might take place there. Let's put this up now.
I want people to be reassured that when they get up tomorrow to go vote, if they have not voted already, that everybody in this city is working and has been working for months to make sure that there will be nothing tough about that experience and nothing to fear in that experience. But I also want to be clear, anybody who thinks it's time to play militia, F around and find out. Anybody who thinks it's time to insult, to deride, to mistreat, to threaten people, F around and find out. We do have the cuffs, we do have the jail cells, we do have the Philly juries, and we have the state prisons. So if you're going to try to turn an election into some form of coercion, if you're going to try to bully people, bully votes or voters, you're going to try to erase votes, you're going to try any of that nonsense, we're not playing. F around and find out.
Hello. Why the F wasn't Merrick Garland like this on day one? He was the worst choice. Larry Krasner, as district attorney, as cop on the flippin' beat for the city of Philadelphia, is not playing. And flippin' Merrick Garland came out of the box crawling himself. I cannot wait until Kamala Harris wins and appoints someone who actually has a spine and gets through the confirmation process to become attorney general. And my friends, that is why we must maintain the Senate. We need the Senate. And I'm feeling good now. Finally, I'm feeling good about the Senate as well. We're going to get the House, which is critical. We are going to win the presidency. Not sure about the Senate. Let's get out and vote. But the most important thing is Harris winning the Electoral College means nothing if the Republicans still have the House. And when Nancy Pelosi said this weekend, we're going to get the House, Hakeem Jeffries is going to be Speaker of the House, I believed her. She knows something, she always does, about their internal polling. But get out and vote. Now, I got more for you. If you thought it was bad that Donald Trump called Nancy the B word, wait till you hear what JD Vance said yesterday about Kamala Harris. These people are so tone deaf. They need women voters, and everything they do pushes us away, right? And also, why do they keep saying things why do they keep using the word trash? Because all it does is evoke what Big Tony Hinchcliffe, the so-called comedian, said at Madison Square Garden. When people hear Republicans using the word trash, that's what they think of. They think of the insult to the people of Puerto Rico, calling it an island of garbage. That's what they think about. And remember that there are a lot of people who, in the United States, who live right on the island, and they're not voting in the election. But a lot of people from Puerto Rico live on the mainland here, where I am, continental United States, and they are voting. And there's a huge number of them in Pennsylvania. So they think when they say trash that someone is going to think about something else, maybe something Biden said. No, garbage and trash is associated with the Republican campaign and what they think about people from Puerto Rico and the whole island. So this is actually what JD Vance said last night. It is it's astonishing to me, and this is how bad and stupid this campaign is.
2 days, we are going to take out the trash in Washington, D.C., and the trash's name is Kamala Harris.
Okay, 2 days ago, so this happened on Sunday. You know Elon Musk is repeating that tweet. You've seen it where someone's calling Kamala the C word, right? Now they're calling her trash. Someone else at one of the Trump rallies the other day said that, he's saying that she never worked at a McDonald's and blah, 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 which she has, just because McDonald's Corporation doesn't keep records from their franchisees, which are separate corporate entities from, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Okay, who are you going to believe, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? So he's already saying that. He was at one of his rallies saying, has she ever worked or where does she work? And someone said on the corner. Now, no offense to sex workers, but calling the person who is running for president of the United States, calling the vice president of the United States the C word, calling her trash, suggesting that she is a prostitute is not the way to win over more women voters. You guys are idiots. But guess what? I got something good. Kamala Harris is picking up male voters. This is going to be a huge deal. And one way it's happening is men are also not putting up with these people, JD Vance and Donald Trump, who don't represent who they are, who are like bad stereotypes and bullies. They don't want to be any part of that system or associated with that. So, the other day, this is going to be one of my last things I show you before we get to Crazy Town. The other day, you saw the conservative Republicans like Charlie Kirk and Jesse Waters from Fox News. So Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA, Jesse Waters from Fox News, losing and I think even Ben Shapiro, maybe, they are losing their marbles, whatever they have left, over the efforts that the Kamala Harris campaign and others who are just volunteering, independent volunteers on their own, telling women, vote who you want to vote for. You don't have to tell your husband. It's okay to lie to him and say you voted for Donald Trump. And there was actually a campaign ad kind of about that. Well, everyone got freaked out about this. People said, oh, this insults women. And I remember I read to you yesterday, Rebecca Solnit's piece saying, not every household is fair in a democracy. A lot of women live under a dictatorship, and this is the only way they can stay safe. And the only way they do not want to go back where the whole society is like that. They want a better future for their daughters and their sons. So there was a group who just put out this ad about men, telling men, your votes are secret too. You're going to love it. Let's do it.
Come on, boys. Let's make America great again. It's your turn, buddy.
Before you cast your vote in this election, think about how it'll impact the people you care about the most.
Daddy!
Remember, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Do your patriotic duty.
You bet I did, brother.
What happens in the booth stays in the booth.
I love that. Okay. So I'm getting you now to the last thing I'm going to share with you before. So we got two things left. One, Pete Buttigieg. Got to share this with you. Two, one last clip from Kamala Harris's rally. And then boom, we will do Crazy Town. Let's go. So I just think this touched me so much. What Pete said. And here we go. This is Pete's final argument. Love it. This is, of course, I call him Mayor Pete Buttigieg, but he's Secretary Pete.
The world's expert on whatever propelled you into this room to choose to spend this day in this way.
Thank you.
What was it? I'll tell you mine. I told you a little bit about my son. Between him and my daughter, that's all the motivation I need. My day starts, if I'm lucky, it starts a little bit before dawn when they come into the room to wake us up. Otherwise, it starts about 3 in the morning when one of them comes barging through, usually our daughter. The door flies open. I hear those little feet. She comes running up to the bed. And she comes to tell me about a dream she just had. She doesn't say, I just had a dream. She doesn't even have that vocabulary yet. But when a toddler tells you, the dinosaur get me, you know what she means. And I get to put my arm around her. Or my husband does, whichever one of us is more awake. When it's me, I say, you're totally safe. No dinosaur is going to get you. I will not let any dinosaur come into this home. On my watch, you have a guaranteed dinosaur-free night. You can go right on back to bed. And it feels good as a dad to be able to make a promise to my child that I'm 100% sure is going to come true. With zero effort on my part. Pretty nice. But what brings me here is that the most important promises we make to our kids are not ones that are going to come 100% true with zero effort. They take some work. I want to be able to promise her, just as sure as she doesn't have to worry about dinosaurs coming into the room, I want to be able to promise her that she's going to have more rights and not fewer rights than her grandmother. I want to be able to promise her and her brother that by the time they're old enough to be going to middle school or high school, only thing they ought to worry about is middle school and high school stuff, like getting through class and whose lunch table to sit at, not whether they're going to be physically safe. We got to work to make sure that's a reality.
That's right.
I want to promise them that the air that they breathe and the water that they drink is as safe as what was handed to our generation. And when we do that, we're going to be reminded that this process, even though we know what we're up against, this is about what we're for. Are you ready to make sure Michigan produces a victory for Kamala Harris? If we can't lose Michigan, we're going to be high-fiving on Wednesday. Thanks for everything.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm crying. That was really hard for me to watch. I think there are a lot of us who really wished, when we had our moments as a child, that we had a father like that. That's what I'm going to say there. Sorry. So let's show one little clip. I got this for you from Harris, and then we will do a little Crazy Town.
However, the race ain't over yet, and we must finish strong, and this could be one of the closest races in history. Every single vote matters, so let me ask you, who here has a plan to vote? All right, well, help spread the word. Here in Pennsylvania, polls are open tomorrow morning from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and no matter what state you live in, if you are watching this, please go to iwillvote.com for all the information you need, including when and where to vote and where to drop off your mail-in ballot. And I also ask you to please talk with your friends and your family and your neighbors. Share your perspective on why you took the time to be here this evening and why this election is important to you. Encourage folks to make their voices heard, because we need everyone to vote in Pennsylvania, and you will decide the outcome of this election, Pennsylvania. And because of you, each of you, and collectively, our people-powered movement reflects a simple and undeniable truth: that we are all in this together. We are all in this together. So we have one day to get this done, which means now we need to get to work and get out the vote. So let's reach out once again to our family members, friends, classmates, neighbors, coworkers, knowing and reminding them that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. And let us please remind everyone that your vote is your voice, and your voice is your power. So tonight I ask you one last time, are you ready to make your voices heard?
This is so good.
Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win.
This is incredible, you guys.
And God bless the United States of America.
Okay, that was a clip from toward the beginning and toward the end of her speech. We are ready for this, but I would like to leave on a high note, except I can never, ever, ever forget Crazy Town. Let's go. Okay, Crazy Town today is Donald Trump, and maybe pretty soon we will not ever have Donald Trump be Crazy Town again. So what I am going to share with you now is this video right now of Donald Trump being absolutely insane on his latest ramble. Let's go.
So I just did you a little bit of a thing. And by the way, the press will say, oh, he rambled. No, that's not rambling. You know what that is? That was genius. That's the weave. No, see, I wove, frankly, the rest of it I don't really even have to talk about. But that was the ultimate weave. And
okay, let's just get that one more time and see what you think of him. Here we go. Let's get some Crazy Town music going.
so I just did you a little bit of a thing. And by the way, the press will say, oh, you rambled. No, that's not real. You know what that is? That was genius. That's the weave.